out at the farm today, and we got somebody snooping around the farm, so I'm going to introduce him. A legend, Mr. Armstrong.
Surprise!
He's back. So yeah, I met Richard a long time ago, and he helped me get married. So here, when we were LDR, and I think it was during COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2020.
Yeah, and I could not get back here, and he was stuck here. So I ended up seeking out Richard, and he helped Caroline, my beautiful, and myself get married. And yeah, that's how I met Richard. And then last year I met you in Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming, Sheridan, Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming. So and then he's fairly close enough that he could come visit me.
Well, I didn't know you were so close. Otherwise, I would have visited you like 20 times.
Yeah, yeah. So he's good shit, man. I'm telling you. So anyway, yeah, really helped us. Caroline and I get married, and then during my house construction, I'm going to show him my house after the farm. This is one of two, but I don't think we'll make the upper one this trip, but don't because it's going to get too hot. But I'm going to show him the house, and he actually helped me because he was building houses up in Lausanne, or where was you building?
Luzon, yeah, northern Luzon.
Yeah. So he's just like an informational highway, and they were actually doing things wrong on my house, and he's like, oh, this is wrong, do that, and not very many things, but they were making mistakes, and so he kind of coached me with tying steel, and to this day I look at construction projects in the Philippines, thanks to Richard, because now I know how, and they're wrong. They're still wrong. They just aren't.
You never unsee it once you see it.
Yeah, it's like almost 99%. Once in a while, I'll hit one that's right, and yeah, but I was gonna show him the farm, and he can ask us questions, and I'm just gonna let him hold the mic, and just but I'm gonna go ahead and turn around, Jerson, and show him the farm there, and then so this is our vanilla farm. You all know. But
yeah, I've been really interested when you said you were going to start to grow vanilla on how it was actually going to work with you growing vanilla out here. And why did you choose vanilla over everything else? Like you had so many other commodities you could have chose.
Well, I had the thing, Richard, is I was here for 5 years before I did anything. I never did the sorry stores. I never did the little carts, the sales, because I seen through them, and just being a foreigner, they're gonna buy. If I stood you with a Filipino, they're gonna buy from the Filipino because you're the outcast.
Exactly.
So, and there's so many sorry. So I had to think, and I thought way outside the box, and I did think of all kinds of different products, but vanilla was the reason I chose vanilla is I was at a farmer's market in Wyoming, and my little sister said, "You should grow vanilla." And I'm like, she's like, it's like ridiculously expensive, and this and that. And I was like, okay, I'll look into it because I'm looking for a cash crop to grow in the Philippines. And lo and behold, it's perfect. This country is perfect. We're in the vanilla belt, just like we're in a coffee belt. And but I chose vanilla because it's number one. And if you go, even with your phone, and you ask your phone, if you ever question a product like cashews, the majority of the cashew nuts come from the Philippines. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
And they're actually on Western Visayas.
Okay.
Yeah, so the majority, like 70-80%, don't quote me on that, but they come from the Philippines. The cashew nuts. And that's another cash crop. So if you ever want to know, like say vanilla, you just go to your bone and you hold the button and say, how profitable is vanilla, and what's my chances of success growing vanilla in the Philippines? You just ask AI.
So, to the best of your knowledge, how many other vanilla farms are here in the Philippines?
I'm guessing 4 to 5 maybe.
Okay.
Tops. That's all the way from northern Luzon down to Mindanao.
And have you visited any of those?
My main supplier, I have one of them's my main supplier, and he's not a commercial farm though. And my whole goal is to become the biggest vanilla farmer in the Philippines.
Wow.
So I want to build a processing plant, and this is the first one's going to be here, which it doesn't entail a lot, but that's my whole goal and it's all incorporated, and Jerson here and my other employees are our shareholders too. See, because we can only own 40%.
Yes.
Of the farm. So I own 40%. My wife and the workers own the rest, and my niece and nephew. They own the rest.
So you're really not doing this for yourself. You're doing it mainly for
It's
your
for the country
family and the
and the
locals and the
country.
community
I
and the
really
country.
want. It's my dream for them to pick up on it now, the locals, because there's 30 each pole you see here, guys, matured will bring in a $500 bill. Every pole in here.
Wow.
We'll bring it. Now that's after processing.
Okay.
And it's a lot. I mean, there's 3 months just in processing.
Yeah, I
of
definitely want to
sweating.
come back when you start the processing
Okay.
and see that.
Well, it'll be about 3 to 5 years, and we'll have a processing plant built here.
Well, maybe not then. I'm kidding.
But anyway, yeah. Yeah, we'll just kind of walk through, and you can ask questions about whatever. But I want to show you. So this row here is the hot row. I call it the hot row. This was mistakenly put in, and
Because it gets less sunlight
it's
then?
too much sunlight in the afternoon. So I'll kind of explain stuff like that. So, but yeah, come on up here. And if you have any questions as we're walking, just go ahead. This is the water line, going to go up to a 2,000 liter tank up there on the hill from the well down below. So these plants here are are experimental plants, and they're 1 year old. These
Okay.
plants here. Now some of them are 12 feet long. So
These are 1 year old?
these are 1 year old, and it came from a cutling about that big.
Oh, so that's your supplier. He gave you the cut.
No, this was when we were testing out suppliers.
Okay.
I had to test it because I wasn't going to go spend 10, 20,000 in farm production when I didn't know if it was going to grow.
Okay, so when you got you didn't start out from the seed, because I've seen.
No, never.
I've seen that so hard with the petri dish.
Oh
and,
yeah, that's impossible.
Yeah,
dude.
I've
Well,
heard
not-
some.
It's not impossible, but yeah, this you get cutlings from the supplier. So and I keep telling people this. They're like, "Well, where do you get it? How much is it?" I'm not going to tell you that. Are you
Yeah.
crazy? I'm not done doing my farm.
I did all my own hard work. You have to do your own.
Do your own. But I did say you go on Facebook and you get into vanilla growing groups, and you can get it from Hawaii. You can get it from Madagascar. You can get it from anywhere in the world, and they're all certified and they ship right in. Or you can get it locally here. With the then there's like 5 or 6 different strings, and we went with the main one. I can't remember what it's
But
called.
they look like they're doing really good. Like this one looks like it's doing really good.
They are, yeah. And but I made the mistake about getting cutlings during the beginning of the hot season. But these are already established 1 year old, and yeah, they are doing good. Key factor: the sunlight.
Okay.
50%.
Now I see some like little vines, like little.
Them are shooters to grab on.
Okay.
So what you do is you zip tie first, and then if you try to look down here, and you'll see that root.
Okay, so they start to shoot out. And
They shoot out and they tie on. They tie onto your structure.
So from getting the cuttings, when do you start to get your first flowers where you have to hand pollinate?
On a mature plant, you can get. Now these were not mature at all. You're going to see some mature ones, some thicker ones. These were not mature. On a mature plant, you can get like as little as 3 years. On
Okay.
a non-mature plant, you're looking at more like 4 to 5. But that's okay because this is 1 year old, and now we're going to stock with mature, so we all should be around 3 or 4 years. 3 more years. We should be getting.
So once they start to produce their first actual vanilla bean pod, how many years are these plants actually good
up
for?
to 20.
Up to 20. That's a
20.
pretty good return on
Yeah,
investment.
and like I tell everybody, you will in 3 years, dude, you will not recognize this. It's just like vines, like
Oh wow! So they get pretty.
they just like engulf everything, And then don't ever trim cutlings off, before it's producing fruit, because that resets its clock.
Wow.
So if you I'm too overgrown, I gotta trim some cutlings off, and then I trim it off, then it automatically resets that plant for 3 years.
So you've done a lot of research.
Yeah,
and a whole lot.
really a
It sounds
lot.
like.
Yeah, but this is one of our experiments. So these 2 rows basically are all experiments.
Okay. Wow.
Hopefully I don't fall down. Kind of hurting right here now.
Yeah, because life's full of bad decisions, and it looks like you made a really, really good decision by getting into the vanilla.
I really, really thought outside the box, and I tell people that, and it, dude. You've been here long enough. You can't go with the flow. You kind of got to be the outcast. I mean, I'm an outcast right in this valley. Honestly, I'm the only white boy in this whole valley. But they don't even know what I'm doing. They're all like asking questions, but which brings up to my, theft and other little issues we have. But you, they could steal a bean, you know, but what are they going to do with it?
Yeah, without knowing how to process
They
it,
don't even know how to
obviously.
process it. You have 8 hours from the time that bean's picked to start processing it, to baste it.
Goodness
8 hours
gracious.
or it's done,
Wow.
or you're done. Now you only have 2 hours, and they feel that these will bloom like you only have like 2 hour window, 2 to 3 hour window to pollinate it. It'll bloom. You got 2 to 3 hours to pollinate that
So
flower.
when they start blooming, you've
You
got to have
gotta be
someone.
here
Okay.
24/7s. So they always say, well, vanilla is so labor intensive. Well, yeah, but how hard is it to hold a toothpick and pollinate a bloom? It's labor intensified because you got to live on your crop, you know, for about few months. Now I think it's May, June, July. The blooming season's like in the Philippines, May to June. So during May to June, we'll have 24-hour rotations walking through, and my supplier is going to. These guys are all going to go to him, and he's going to teach everybody how to properly pollinate, you know, and
Okay.
yeah, so they know, you know, and in fact, just like my wife, you know, she wanted to drive. I didn't want to. I wanted her professionally. I sent her to driving school, you know, and then I'm going to do the same with the, you know, with the guys. They're going to know, you know, how to do this
And for a
properly.
lot of you that don't understand what vanilla has been one of the highest paying commodities since back before we started crossing the oceans. We started crossing the oceans to India and Indian Ocean, Pacific Atlantic with vanilla. The vanilla trade back in the day, they used to
Yeah,
send fucking boats to get it from India and bring it back to Europe.
yeah,
It
yeah,
used to
yeah.
be that one of the highest,
It
more than
is
gold.
second. It's well, they call it black gold before,
Yeah,
but it's the second highest cost spice in the world. You know, saffron being number one. And
saffron.
yeah, and I looked into
Oh,
saffron, but can't do it here. So if you ever question, you know, well, can I grow walnuts, or can I grow cashews, or can I grow, you know, you want to hire in pistachios, you want to hire in crop, you know, that makes more money. Just ask AI or ask Google, you know, or and he'll tell you, you know, what your chances are. Or, but I believe it's like for success right here on vanilla is like between 70 and 80%.
that's still a pretty good high success rate.
And the thing you're thinking about is very high too. I looked into it, and I won't say it on video, but I'm telling you guys, yeah, it's a. I really want this this crop could transform the Philippines farmer, man.
Yeah.
But the sad part is they don't have money. They don't have money. The tenants don't have money that run these farms, but the owners do. So if they can convince their owners, or or I can convince their owner, who's taking advantage of it now is other expats. So other expats come in with retirement or whatever, and they'll say throw 20,000 at it or whatever, and build a nice size farm. And in 3 years, it's going to be 7, 8, 10-fold on
Okay.
their return. It's going to be, but it takes time. It's an investment. I don't say it's no get rich
Yeah.
scheme, you know. And I'm sure we're going to kill when we start hand pollinating. We're going to kill X amount, probably 20%. You know, when we're and I'll be like, oh man, but it's just shit happens, and that's how you learn is you make mistakes.
Very, very well said, though.
So
I mean, yeah, it's just, it's one of those things where you're going to have the growing pains, but once you get
you're gonna have the
established,
growing pains, yeah. Well, just like you knew, you know, building houses and stuff, learning as you go, you know. Well, you can't depend on the. Yeah, okay, I got 40 crew of 40 people. One day you might only have
yeah.
15 because half of them didn't show up because they got drunk, or Jimmy broke his leg, or Johnny's granddad died, or it seems like as far as labor in the Philippines, they have an excuse for about everything, you know, as far as getting. But then you find your good crew, you know, and I always say out of 45 people, I kept two.
Wow.
I got two really good, and Jerson he was an arbor. He did all the scaffolding for me, building the house, and Athen was in and out. So out of all of my crew, I kept two. Now I have since had them come back to and wanna, which some I might employ later on, but we'll just have to let time. You know, they're working elsewhere and stuff now. So okay, we're gonna continue with our. Let me grab my sticks just in case. 'Cause, okay, I feel better, more secure with these. Okay, we're gonna continue on up the hill. So these are the experimental. These 2 rows, you can see they're 1 year old, and I got vanilla up to 12 feet long already on these 2 rows. up to 12 feet.
So why did you do the experimentals again?
To make sure they're gonna grow here.
Okay.
Oh, they grow better than weeds, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And then we go up here, and so these are now see how much thicker this stem is?
Yeah.
So these are mature. These are mature cutlings when you order them in.
Okay.
So they're a lot thicker. So since then, I've been told to stick them in the ground. I've been told so much bullshit on how to plant vanilla but now I know how to plant it. And I have a video if you want to check back, proper way to plant vanilla, and it shows you on my long form. So, but yeah, these are mature, and it's okay. It's okay if they lose their leaves because it's normal for them when you transplant to lose some leaves.
Yeah, I can see a lot of these are the stem on it
Are
is
thick.
way thicker.
Yeah, and we actually are suffering from, that's one of the main reasons I came. I'm like, Jerson, we got to trim some and put them in a nursery. I've never lost a vanilla plant, dude. I've lost them all the way back to 6 inches from 1 meter, 3
Okay.
feet, all the way back to 6. And I've clipped them off and threw them on the ground, and they come back.
Wow.
Yeah, they're that hardy. They just like use the moisture in the stem to survive. But we try to water, but we can't. But I did just get a 2,000 liter water tank for the hill, and we're going to have solar booster stations to pump all the way just on little pumps, little solar pumps, 3 of them. And now there'll be 1 at the well, and then there'll be 2 booster stations on up to the Cobra Forest, which were the tank.
You can do like a drip emitter on each one of these?
Yeah,
or?
that's what we're going to do, yeah.
Okay.
A drip system. So it'll be all automated. But we only suffer from the heat for 3 months anyway. The
Yeah.
rest of the time we're drowning. So it's more about drainage, getting a proper drainage so they don't root rot.
Now, did you have to worry about the acidity or alkalinity of the soil? Does that matter with the vanilla?
Everything worked here. I didn't have to check it. Everything I planted here thrived.
Okay.
So it's like, I'm sure it's good because you see that I got 12 feet in a year out of a one, and them weren't even, them were only like 1.5 feet, dude.
Wow.
Them experimental ones, they came from a supplier that wasn't really mature yet. Like now my supplier, which I don't share my supplier, I will later, but
It's like you don't share your fishing spot.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll
So-
show you how to catch fish, but I ain't telling you
Yeah.
where I catch them.
My supplier, he sends the big fatty mature, and he's been established for probably 10 years now. So like I said, I'm not the first, but I'm going to be the biggest. That's my goal.
Now, I noticed that you cemented these in and then you stuck a lot of coconut husk in there.
That's for moisture.
Okay.
So when it rains, and then the plant will feed. It'll feed on its root, but it'll also feed through the fingers that you've seen shooting out that hold
Okay.
themselves on and these are my design of artificial trees. And so they got a piece of rebar cemented and then tees on them. And these poles here are for 2 plants, and then up in the Cobra Forest, you'll see the ones that we've even evolved to 3 plant poles,
Okay.
even bigger yet. So, and I recommend a 3 plant pole, a 16-inch tee. So you do your rebar, and then it's 6 feet so you can reach it, and then to the grid, to the top of the grid, and that grid.
Because you're trying to maximize.
Yeah,
obviously.
maximize, and the grid is my idea with the grid, and we got to red lead this. But we'll red lead it and then it'll
Now, how
last a
tall
long
do these
time.
grow?
6 feet. Oh, they'll grow 20, 30 feet.
If you let them.
How are you going to get up there and pollinate
Yeah.
at 20 foot?
So you want to get them out to be bushy and.
Yeah, and they just, like I said, in 3 years you will not recognize this.
Okay.
It'll just be like vines everywhere, man. So we'll go up here to the, now this is your first sign of dehydration. See the lines?
Yeah.
So it's dehydrating, it's shrinking. So this should probably, I don't know if we'll trim this off or not, but and you'll see worse ones than that. That's your first line of dehydration. The lines start first and then they just start shrinking. Now this died back here, so it used up this amount of water to stay alive. And it's shrinking, But I'll dig down and see if there's a rootling in there. If there's a rootling in there, I won't do that. Okay. We'll go up here. Now this is so all this is, now what you're looking at is 500, the first 500 goal. So we have 500 pole goal
500 poles?
was the first one.
Okay.
Yeah, each pole's about 25 USD to build. That's a little high, but to build, look at that locust shell. Come
Looks
up
like,
here, Jerson.
almost looks like a cicada.
It's a locust.
Oh, it is a cicada then.
See? It's just a shell. He mutated, or he crawled out of his shell. They leave their shell. But yeah, bugs don't eat this shit, dude. It's
Oh, it's
acidic.
good then.
Yeah, so your main bug repellent in your mosquito sprays and stuff is
Vanilla.
vanilla.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
vanilla's used in perfume.
Everything.
Everything. Vanilla is.
It's just growing and growing and growing, and
Yeah.
people are getting rid of that. No more of that bullshit synthetic. They're wanting away from that stuff completely.
Yeah, vanilla's used in what? Perfume, medicine, foods, you name it.
Yeah, you name it, everything. To baking, but we'll crawl up here to the cobra forest. Here. Keep your eye out on the ground. So this will be where the water tank is, the 2,000 liter water tank. And then everything will be gravity. So these poles are 16 inch.
Wow.
See how much bigger they are?
Oh, and you got a whole lot of shade up here.
Well, it's 50%, so maybe even a little too much. We'll have to trim it back during the rainy season a little bit. You know, delimb some of the trees.
So why do you call this King Hill?
Because the cobras live right over there. So where is it at? Jerson, in that bamboo somewhere?
Yeah, up there, bud.
Okay, up here there's some bamboo and some. You'll see as we walk through here, you'll see the holes they hide in.
The King Cobras.
Yeah. Now have you seen any samars up here? Or
Not
just
yet.
kings?
Just kings.
So kings eat samars, so you know.
Okay.
So they're the king. They're the king. That's why they call them the king. They eat the other cobras. So yeah, they basically live on the samars.
Yeah, because there's a lot of snakes in the Philippines, and I'm not talking about the actual snake itself.
Yeah, that snake. So yeah, that's the 16-inch pole, and then there will be a grid up here. And how many poles are up here, Jerson?
60.
60. So 60 times 3, you go 6 times, because they're going to have 3 plants apiece. So 6 times 3 is 18. And then you figure 500, you can times that by 500 times 60, and that'll give you your gross, you know, which is a lot.
Now, I would ask you what your projected revenue is and all that, but I think that's no one's business on what
Well,
revenue is.
it's-
I mean, I don't know.
We'll just say it's very, very good. And it's very, very, even now the reason I always say think big is if we do have a Eulander or something and we lose half the orchard, we still have the other half to carry us. That's the numbers thing. So, yeah, and like I said, I want to be the biggest vanilla producer or I don't necessarily me. I want to see the corporation be the biggest vanilla producer in the Philippines.
So when do you feel like when's your break even? Year 3, 4, or 5 is your break even or return on investment?
If you don't break even and make a shit ton of money in the first harvest, something's definitely wrong.
And that's about year 3 or
3 to 4, we'll say.
3 to 4, okay.
Now I'm gonna say, you got an ant right there on you. I'm gonna say, now I know of other vanilla farmers. You can't be lazy. I know other failures here in the Philippines.
My biggest question actually right now is obviously with everything, every commodity that you have, it doesn't matter what country you're in, exporting, or do you have someone already set up to export it to, or do you have someone set up to sell it to?
I've been already talking to people and I have contacts and lineouts. The biggest cost of exporting is your affiliate in, like this is going to obviously go to America. Well, it's the cost for every shipment. I have to pay about 5,000 USD.
Okay.
For my guy that's part of the all that in the USA. So for every shipment, that's the big thing that we get enough. But if I want to do this and then get it graded, you know, say I process everything, I get graded, and I want to hold it, say I get a good grade and I want to hold it, I can hold the ship for like 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
After it's processed and packaged, it's got a shelf life forever, bro.
So are you looking to more kind of
Not
focus
forever,
of the Philippines and sell it, or half and half kind of?
Pretty much, I'm going to say 90% to 95% not here.
Okay.
There's no money here, man. There's no money. I don't see any money in the Philippines. I see you make your money outside, you spend your money here. Now, this can be the factory. Even all my transactions and everything, there's no money changing hands in the Philippines. It's all outside the Philippines. Just for the corruption. And now there are, there are going to have to be bills paid and stuff, you know, for licensing and payoffs and basically me tipping people to help me, you know, get along and get through the process and get it all out. But it's just like I always say, it's a pay-to-play nation, man. You got to pay for it. You got to pay for everything.
Yeah,
here.
you
And
do.
that's really what people don't understand. They come here, oh, 60 pesos for $1. I'm going to be a millionaire.
But
No,
that
you're
goes so
not.
quick. It
You're,
does.
yeah, you're not going to be, you know, you come here with, you know, 250K and it could be gone in 3 years just like that.
Especially
So
if you
fast.
live above your means, eating out every single day, all
Yeah.
day. You've got 295 per meal for a Jollibee meal, or
And family
yeah,
and sickness and death and you're expected, man. Like if you lose a brother-in-law, you're expected.
yeah.
You know, you're a breadwinner, and that's basically my position in my family is I lost my brother-in-law, which he was a breadwinner, so I naturally just stepped right into that. So if we have if somebody has an appendicitis, well, Jerson knows even, you know, say if Jerson got appendicitis, it would be no questions asked. I would take him to the hospital and put the money down to get
But
his
that's the
appendix removed.
beautiful thing about living in the Philippines versus like the United States is they're family oriented here versus the United States. If someone gets sick, you're like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and
it's because it's really kind of going away to where neighbors don't know neighbors,
it is
and
family up to a point. I mean, like I always say, I'm safe in my valley, but I'm not safe here in this valley. I'm becoming safer because I'm employing a lot of these local tenants
that's
on
the
other
key is
farms.
employ the locals, pay them fair, decent wages,
Yeah.
and treat them with
Oh
respect.
shit, dude. So what were they paying to haul rice out of here when we bought this place?
What?
How
What,
much per
250
bag?
a day?
100,
100 a bag. Now how much do we pay?
150.
150. So it went up just because I moved here.
Wow,
The
okay.
price. That's to haul the rice out during harvest.
Well, and see, that's kind of the effect that I had when I was building houses. While
You were paying fair.
the price of land before we bought that house, or we built our house in a certain area, the price of land was like 500 pesos per square meter, and then
After you built, it was
it
1,000.
was 5,000, 6,000 per square
Yeah.
meter. Oh, because Armstrong's house is out there, or he's building houses out there. So that's kind of the trickle down
Yeah, yeah.
economics. And
A lot of people like that. A lot of people hate that. So
but what a lot of actually, if any of you really know the true answer to this, we're going to go back to exporting really quick. The largest export of anything out of the Philippines is what? I want you to put your comments or your answers in the comments to see if you get this one right. It's not what you think the export would be, but I'll give you kind of a hint. It's not a normal commodity that grows in the ground. The largest export coming out of the Philippines is what? Put your answer in the comments.